I'm Ashley from the Gold Hive, and welcome to my one-room challenge. I went to school for art, so I've always had a passion for creating and making and designing things. I'm a natural homebody and I love being at home, and I think our home is a really great reflection of who we are, and it's a safe space from the world around us. Now this house is my latest art project. We live in a 1915 Craftsman Bungalow. We bought it in 2015 and we've been slowly fixing it up, like refinishing the floors, redoing the wall texture, putting in new wood windows to replace the aluminum windows that replaced the original wood windows. And the office is right off of the main living area and blends really well with the rest of the home. Before the one-room challenge, the office didn't really work for anything. So the desk was too skinny and long and we looked straight out into the windows. The hutch didn't really fit the style of the house anymore, and it didn't have any of the functionality that we needed. And then there was just a big empty space in the middle with no art, no lighting, no nothing going on. So it was a pretty blank slate to begin with. My husband owns his own company, so sometimes he will work from home in our office, and then when I work on the blog, I like to work in a space where I can sit at a desk and get some work done without sitting on the couch with my laptop, even though I do that as well. For designing the room, I started with function. For an office, the most important part is storage. So I looked high and low to find some really nice office storage that would sit low enough that it wouldn't block the window, but was wide enough to take up the whole wall and was still versatile for us. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything like that. So ultimately, I got 2 IKEA units, put them side by side, and customized it. To make it look less like a simple IKEA piece, I added handles from Rejuvenation. And then I put different dividers, including a file hanging storage unit in one of the drawers, so it fits all of our needs. After I decided what kind of function and flow and layout the room would have, the next step was trying to find something that added personality. So I love the idea of wallpaper, but instead of making it easy on myself and just installing wallpaper, I decided to hand paint a mural with 8 colors in the likeness of an 1800s etching. I used Photoshop and a lot of trial and error to separate each color for the mural. And then I took each of those colors and painted them in layers using a projector to transfer the image onto the wall. So I basically made a giant paint by number mural. The first step was easy because I just painted it on and I traced it, but then actually it wasn't easy. I don't know why I said that. I'm still getting massages for having my arm held up really high for a long time. It doesn't take a lot of money, but it does take time. I'm so glad that I did it. I'm glad that it's over with, and it really makes a big impact in the room. Before we renovated this room for the one-room challenge, we just had a light bulb hanging out of the center of the ceiling. And for the new office space, we wanted some task lighting that also added a little bit of personality that wouldn't take away from the mural. So I added a brass pendant light that hangs directly over the center of the desk rather than the middle of the room. The pendant is from All Modern and it's not expensive. I think it was around $120. With the layout of the room and the configuration of the desk, I needed a rug in the particular style and size, so I couldn't find one that was antique. But there's a lot of options online to find rugs that look vintage but aren't actually vintage and come in a variety of sizes. The chairs are from West Elm, and they're a really comfy chair that they swivel and move like an office chair, but I can sit in them for a long day at the desk. The sconces from an Etsy seller illuminate vintage, and he creates reproduction-looking pieces that have a modern take on them too. So I reached out and asked him to make a couple of variations to an existing piece, and he customized it just for me. It wasn't expensive at all. It was probably less than $100. He also did the dining room chandelier too. We're really lucky to have a lot of the original pieces in the office, from the wood floors to the windows and the trim, so it's nice to balance old and new. We've lived with the house for 3 years and we've been slowly decorating it, so having finished spaces is really great to feel like it's finally our own home after years of working really hard to bring it back to its historic integrity. It feels really great to have a finished space. It feels more and more like our own every day. Thanks so much for joining me in my one room challenge, and I'll be doing it again in the spring of 2018, so stay tuned for that one. There will not be a mural in that one.